Up next, I would like to welcome GRV CEO Alan Clayton to present the GRV CEO Welfare Award. The GRV CEO Welfare Award aims to recognise those who have demonstrated a commitment to animal welfare and will be awarded to a person for special or outstanding contribution to the welfare of greyhounds in Victoria. Over to you, Alan, to announce the winner.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Look, it's a really great pleasure for me to be able to announce the welfare recipient, the Welfare Award recipient. It is really important role that is played by all of our volunteers, by the people that are involved in rehoming our dogs. I do want to say that every winner is a dog. The dogs are the winners, but our participants who rehome the dogs, the rehoming groups that rehome the dogs, GAP, and the individual volunteers. And it's great pleasure that I can announce the GRV CEO Welfare Award winner is Jodi Rechsteiner. And thanks very much, Jodi, for just such your wonderful work. And it means so much, not just to me, but to many, many thousands of dogs that are out there in the street that have had support from individuals like yourself who you represent, but you've been stellar. So thank you very much.
Jodi, thanks for joining me and congratulations on winning the GRV CEO Welfare Award for 2021. How are you feeling?
Thanks, Ben. What an amazing surprise. No, I'm actually feeling really humbled. Like greyhounds have been part of my life for quite a few years, and everything that I do with the greyhounds I thoroughly enjoy. So I guess winning an award like this is just the icing on the cake. Yeah, I certainly don't do it for the award. I do it for the love of the dogs and for their welfare. But yeah, no, it's pretty cool.
Amazing. And so speaking of amazing, you've fostered a very impressive 97 greyhounds over the last 9 years. What brought you to greyhounds and fostering in the first place?
Yes, so 97, wow. I think I lost count somewhere through there, I'm not sure. And I certainly couldn't tell you the names of all 97, but there's certainly been some standouts. So what brought me to greyhounds? So when my son, who is now 16, was around about 8 months old, I decided it was time to get another dog. I already had one at the time. And I'm a bit of a two-dog person. I think, they're pack animals, they need their friends, all of that stuff. And look, I can't honestly tell you what brought me to greyhounds. Like I must have seen something somewhere. And at that time, greyhounds weren't the fashion accessory I guess they are now. They weren't cool. They were still very much just in racing circles. And I'm certainly not within any racing circles at all. And weren't brought up in racing circles. So, greyhounds, I guess, were quite foreign to me. I've had friends who had whippets and things, but not greyhounds as such. So yeah, anyway, when he was 8 months old, I thought, let's have a look. And I remember doing some research on GAP and being in regional Vic, sort of close to, I guess, the kennels, that sort of was like, oh, well, this is a bit cool. So anyway, we went up to the kennels and we found our very first greyhound, who was a 4-year-old whose name was Tassie. There's been lots of Tassies since. And I remember at the time, there was this real stigma around greyhounds, around, oh my God, why would you get a greyhound? They're vicious, they're aggressive, they wear muzzles, they're not good, they're not a family dog. You've got an 8-month-old baby, are you mad? And I'm like, they're a dog. Like, seriously, they can't be that bad. And anyway, the times and the memories that we've had with the greyhounds since, just confirmed, I guess, what a gentle nature and how beautiful they are. I mean, I've got amazing photos of, my eldest son at sort of, as I said, 8 to 12 months old, crawling under, the greyhound, and then other photos of, I went on and had a second son. His favourite pastime was his afternoon nap was on a greyhound's bottom, so the greyhound would be on the couch fast asleep. He would snuggle up with them and use their bottom as a pillow. And, so things like that. And look, never had any untoward things occur with the kids and the greyhounds. I mean, I am very, I guess, cautious and very strict around, dog space and kid space, and we don't mix the two and all of that stuff. And I guess also through my journey, I've had a lot of people say to me, oh, but, how do greyhounds go with children? And so I tend to flip that on its head and say, well, how do your children go with dogs? Like it's, it's a two-way question. It's not just, So I've had, since Tassie, I have had 4 greyhounds of my own. As I said, I always have 2. I like to have a girl and a boy, just to keep it all nice and balanced. And then, yeah, obviously we've had the 97 fosters filter through with those. And I find having the male and the female works exceptionally well because of, if it's a female foster, then, I guess the relationship and the balance is very different, depending on which sex that the foster is. So, yeah. I think that was sort of my journey with greyhounds, really.
Amazing. And so along with fostering, you've also been involved in a number of GAP and GRV events and activations. What has been your favourite event to come along to?
Yeah, so look, I think I would have to say, along with a lot of people, my favourite is probably the Melbourne show. And look, I sort of wonder whether my time when I first decided on a greyhound, whether it was because I saw them at the show. I've seen a lot of changes in how we've run, or how GRV have run the show campaigns. We've had location moves. We've had, obviously an amazing sort of front every single year, and always very different, which is really cool. But I think the main thing is just about getting out and talking to people about greyhounds. And as I said before, lots of questions around, how do they go with children? But don't they need lots of space? Don't they need lots of exercise? Oh, no, I couldn't possibly have one because of X, Y, and Z. And I just love doing that myth busting. I think, I could have adopted my own personal greyhounds probably 20 times over through those events. I've sort of had people go, right, I'm taking this one home. I'm like, yeah, no, you're not actually, because they live on my couch. I've also had the beautiful experience of, I had this one beautiful foster, and look, he wouldn't have been 9 years ago, but he was probably round about in my 4th year of fostering, I would think. He was a beautiful black and white boy, and of course called Patch, because what else do you call a black and white greyhound other than Patch? But he had this really, I guess, noticeable keyhole sort of, or key lock sort of combination on his bottom. It was all white, and he had this black keyhole on his bottom above his tail. And I took him to the show as one of our fosters, because I would always take one of my own greyhounds and then a foster as well, because we like to have that variety. And anyway, the people who ended up adopting him met him at the show. So, I had to have a chat with him. They met him. They decided he was his. And of course, we go through the process where we say, well, this is what you need to do to adopt him. And I didn't think much more of it. And anyway, so the show would have been in September. I think it must have been sort of that 13, 14 months later. GAP held a Christmas party up at the kennels in Seymour. And so, we all potted up, and I remember, lots of the dog swimming pools around. It was quite a hot day. Everybody was just chilling out on, picnic blankets and all of that stuff. And I heard somebody say, oh, Patch, come here, Patch, and I sort of turned around, oh, Patch, what? I turned around and I went, oh my God, I'm sure that's our Patch. So anyway, long story short, we made a connection with the people and, introduced ourselves and said, look, he was our foster. And they're like, oh, we remember you from the show. And clearly I didn't, because you sort of come across so many different people. But the beautiful thing was we formed a relationship, we swapped numbers, all of that stuff. And he, unfortunately due to COVID, but pre-COVID, Patch would actually come to us at least once, if not twice a year, for holidays when they went away, because they have family over in New Zealand and things. So they would travel. And, like most greyhound owners, couldn't bear the thought of putting them into kennels. So Patch would actually come back for a holiday. And it was just beautiful. So, and we're still in contact now, and, they've gone on and had their own family, and it's just beautiful. Like, I guess the relationships that you build through the dogs. So yeah, sorry, that's a really long answer to a really short question.
No, that's perfect. And speaking of what you said about family just there, although this award is for you this year, I hear that your fostering and volunteering journey has been a family affair, with your 2 sons helping out and loving the greyhounds as well.
Most definitely. So anything I do is always with my boys. Like, we're a very, I guess, connected unit, or not that they have a great deal of choice, because what mum says goes, but they are very involved. I think it's been a great experience for them. They've learnt to be respectful of different presentations from the dogs. We have everything from very anxious dogs coming through, behavioural issues, and so you know, in conjunction with discussions that I have with Rose around, you know, what are we looking at for this dog? You know, is there any particular work we need to do? Then I'm able to word up the boys and say, right, you know, this is what we need to be aware of. This is what we need to be watching.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, it sounds like it's been a lot of fun along the journey, which is good. And on top of everything else, there's so many facets to what you've done with the greyhounds, but you've also brought up some TAFE groups to GAP to spend the day helping out with our greyhounds. What sort of volunteering have the groups done, and what's been the response like?
Look, this is a program I'm really proud of, Ben. I teach VCAL in a non-secondary school setting, and over the years, I guess I leveraged it off my relationship with Rose and the kennel staff and Jenny and everybody else, and everybody was really supportive. And basically what we did was I have 16 students on site, and luckily in Seymour, so logistics are fairly easy. And what we do is we bring the students out to the kennels. We were operating it in a once a fortnight format, and it was normally on a Thursday or a Friday. We'd bring the students out and they would basically become kennel hands for the day. So we would wash the dogs, walk the dogs, do some enrichment activities. We'd do some really basic training, like, you know, walking on a lead and all of those things, I guess, and just spending time with the dogs. We'd had some great times where I remember we were up there one time and there was a group of puppies in. So you can just imagine this group of teenagers with a group of greyhound puppies, which was just beautiful. And in all honesty, what the kids give to the dogs in this situation is nothing compared to what the dogs give my kids. All of my kids, students, probably shouldn't call them kids, but students, come from trauma-informed backgrounds. So they've had a tricky road. They've underlying issues, you name it, we can probably tick a box for you. And what we've seen these students just absolutely blossom. So it's quite funny to see. What normally happens is the students will pair up with dogs that very much mirror them. So I remember one instance, I had one young lady who was exceptionally apprehensive of dogs, particularly large dogs. She hadn't had a good experience in the past. And so just her anxiety alone of getting her there was huge, you know. So, you know, we did the whole supporting her through, you know, you don't have to touch the dogs if you don't want to, you can stay with us. We did all of that. And anyway, by the end of it, she decided she wanted to have a go with one of the dogs. And she was probably paired up with one of the most nervous dogs and she did that pairing herself. We didn't do it. That was her choice. But what it meant was it gave her the chance, and I actually sort of took her aside and quietly said, now look, you're the leader. You have to show this dog how clever they are. But what that was doing in turn was getting her to be really clever and really strong. And she did laps and laps of the dam with this dog. And every step she took, you could just see that confidence that, you know, oh my God, I'm doing this. I'm succeeding. And it was beautiful. It was just, yeah. And I guess these are the moments why we do it. And look, for my students as well, and they don't see those moments. Like, that's something as an instructor that we see. But for them, it's about employability skills. You know, to be able to put on your resume that you have volunteered at the GAP program and this is what duties you've done, makes them so much more employable. So I'm really keen for COVID to go away so we can reinstate that program, because I've also got one running with the RDA, so the horses in Seymour. So I think it would just be amazing if I could have the horses and the dogs working concurrently. And I guess the one thing that I say to everybody when we talk about the program is that the hardest thing is I take 16 kids up to the kennels. The trickiest thing is not coming back with 16 dogs, because every single student's like, oh, Jodi, I'll just adopt this one and take it home. And this is mine. And this is, you know, so it's just beautiful. And I will also never forget the first time I took the group up. I guess they were my pilot program, and I was all a little bit nervous because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, there's expectations. Oh, you know, what if they're naughty and all of those things. And anyway, the growth within that group of students within literally a 3-hour period, couldn't have done it anywhere else. You know, they'd gone And I won't say they've gone from being strangers, but they've gone from being, oh yeah, you're a classmate and that's about it, to, oh, right, we have to do this, and oh, we're going to plan this activity, and oh, we could do this, and let's plan a camp, and it was just this cohesion just came out of nowhere. And I just thought, this is why we do it. And it's just beautiful. So yes, I really want COVID to go away so we can get back to it.
Yeah, and I'm sure that with everyone up at GAF will welcome you back with open arms, and all the students with open arms as well. So that's absolutely fantastic. And then just to close off, I suppose a very poignant question. As I said, you're at 97 fosters. Are you going to crack the century by the end of 2021, do we think?
Most definitely. So Nikki, my current foster, is sitting on my red chair looking very comfy. She's decided that's her favourite spot. She's got about 2 weeks left with me, I think. And then, yep, I'll get Rose to line up the next couple, and hopefully by Christmas we'll have cracked the tongue.
Yeah, perfect. And I suppose that sort of brings us to a close there, Jodi. So thank you so much for joining me. Once again, congratulations on the award, and yeah, fantastic work.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's not possible without the support of GRV. And at the end of the day, it's all for the dogs.
Yeah, everything we do is for the dogs. Love them. Thank you so much, Jodi. Once again, congratulations to Jodi and her family on their incredible fostering achievements. We have seen some fantastic photos of you all watching from home so far this evening. So make sure to keep those photos coming and post your photos watching from home to Facebook, Instagram and Twitter with the hashtag Victorian Greyhound Awards 2021 and VGA 2021. I'll now hand back over to Molly to run through the GRV 2021 Hall of Fame inductees. Thanks, Molly.